Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Sorvent's non-meta tournament number 5, top 4. So up at the top we have Malefic Lord, who is on Nemesis Invoked. Actually, technically there's a little bit more than that, but I think that's the best explanation for that deck. And down at the bottom we have Maticus, who is on Burning Abyss. So I actually have two more feature, or actually not two more, but one more feature match from each of these players. And I think that they are both actually really good feature matches, and I haven't done them yet. So if you guys are interested in seeing those, let me know, and I might do some extra content for you guys later on this week. But yeah, so they both are very fantastic players, obviously both being able to make it to top 4. So we can see exactly how this works. So there are two more feature matches on my channel, one of each of them. I believe that Maticus played against Yosenju, and I believe that Malefic Lord played against Invoked Buster Blader. So I think that both of those matches are pretty worth watching, especially the one with Malefic Lord watching or playing against like the other Invoked variant. I think that was a very intense match, and yeah, so go ahead and check that one out, especially if you are interested in seeing more of this deck. But with all of that said, let's get started into this. So Malefic Lord is going to be going first. So he has a handful of monsters. I guess both of them do technically, outside of this torrential tribute, but seems pretty interesting. So Alistair the Invoker is going to be normal summoned here and hit with a copy of Effect Veiler, and he's just going to pass his turn. Okay, and looks like a copy of Fiendish Rhino Warrior is going to be summoned here. Farfa is going to be using its effect, and he can go ahead and overlay those into a copy of Dante, detaching the Fiendish Rhino Warrior and hitting a graph. Man, I feel like every time he mills with Dante, he hits like a graph and like a paleo trap. So like it's pretty crazy. So he's going to go ahead and use this graph effect to special seer, and then he can go ahead and send Libic from the deck to the grave with the Fiendish Rhino Warrior to special summon the Skarm from hand. Then he's going to link all three off into a triple burst dragon, use Seer to bring back the Dante, and then the Dante is going to bring back Seer, and then he's going to discard the Seer to overlay a Beatrice on top of the Dante and attacking for 2400 and then 25 over the Alistair, so that looks like that's going to be 3900 damage. Passing his turn, he's going to use Skarm in end phase to search for a Farfa, and he's got quite a bit of interruption here. Looks like a Farfa detached off of the Beatrice and then like a Torrential, so 2 interruptions, I guess. So Invocation is going to be top deck here, which is actually pretty relevant since the Alistair is already set up in the graveyard. Dynarester Pankratops hits the field, which is going to be a fantastic card here as well. And Beatrice is going to be used here in Chain, and I think he's probably going to attempt to pop this Pankratops or something, or banish it. I'm actually not sure. So yeah, sending a Farfa to graveyard. He can then use the effect of Invocation is going to resolve, obviously banishing the Seer and the Alistair into the Kalika. So I guess that's why he preemptively activated the Beatrice, since he can technically now just use the Farfa to banish the Kalika, so he doesn't have to deal with it for the rest of the turn. But a Torrential Tribute's actually going to come down here, and he's opting not to use Farfa effect, I guess, which makes sense. I mean, you might as well just have the cards just die with Torrential, so it's pretty cool. Nemesis Flag is actually going to be summoned here by banishing or returning the banished Alistair the Invoker, which is a little weird just because like the Invocation might be like a little more important for the longevity of the game, but at the same time, like getting this search off a Nemesis Flag might be really important, especially getting this copy of Arch Nemesis Protoss might be really good. But he doesn't really have a good way to link off this flag, so it might be just stuck on the field. Actually, he didn't normal summon this turn, so maybe like normal summoning Tracer, he maybe do something. So yeah, he's gonna normal summon Tracer, pop the flag, and he's gonna special summon a copy of Rocket Synchron from the deck. And then he's going to go ahead and banish 3 cards with different types, or attributes rather, so an Earth, a Dark, and a Fire for this Protoss out of the hand. Then he can just go ahead and attack for obviously the 25 and the 16. And then in main phase 2, he can use Protoss effect to go ahead and lock his opponent out of dark special summons. So That's pretty rough, especially if you look at Maticus's hand. He has all darks. So yeah, he's just going to go ahead and set this copy of Farfa, set a Dynamiscus, and pass his turn. And it looks like Malefic Lord is going to draw for turn, drawing into a copy of Driver as well as Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. And so what's interesting about Protoss, I believe, is you can declare the attribute and then destroy all monsters on the field with that attribute, and then also it has an effect that says also until the end of the next turn either against special summon monsters with that attribute. So it technically doesn't even have to destroy the same attribute for them to lock out. So you have to have the attribute on the field, but if the attribute doesn't get destroyed, they're still locked out. That's like the best way for me to explain. So if you can see on the card text, it says it cannot be destroyed by card effects. So if you declare a dark monster with Protoss, which you can do since Protoss is a dark monster, it will attempt to destroy all dark monsters on the field, but he can't be destroyed by card effects, and then it will still lock your opponent out of dark monsters, even though it didn't destroy anything. So it's pretty cool. He can still do that. I'm not sure if he's going to, but he's going to use this Farfa. Looks like Farfa is actually not going to be banished, but the copy of Dynamiscus is going to come down here to banish the Protoss and special summon a Dynamiscus back from the grave. Skarm is going to be discarded, which should also get him a search. So I don't think he activated the copy of Protoss. I didn't see the little ding on the thing, but he might have said it. We'll see here on Maticus's turn. So he's going to discard for Chaos Space, searching for a BLS. BLS is going to be used here. Barbar, sorry. It looks like that's Barbar effect, which is going to deal 900. And honestly, I believe that's game there, even if he isn't locked into Darks, just because he can just attack 12 and 3000. So that is game. Pretty interesting. It looks like Maticus just had a lot of advantage, just snowballed up. So Malefic Lord just couldn't really compete with that very well. But looks like Maticus is going to be opting to go second, it looks like. Or obviously Malefic Lord wants to go first. So Vashuda is going to be special summoned into the hand, and Quick Launch is going to be summoning Tracer from the deck. Tracer is going to be used to get rid of this copy of Ashuda, but obviously the Veiler is going to come down on top of that, and then he's just going to normal summon this copy of Corridor, which is basically the reason why Colossus is banned. Actually, I don't know if that's like true or anything, but it definitely is a reason why Colossus would be extremely important. If you see the OCG, this card is like super important in Thunder Dragon builds. But Chaos Brother is going to be coming down here, synchroing for 8, obviously, milling 5, and then picking up any light or dark monster. He can pick up this Alistair, which could be really nice since he could just get his Alistair engine started. Gamma's kind of useless in his hand, unless if he has a Lambda in his extra deck, he can link these two off for. But yeah, obviously grabbing the Alistair here makes a lot of sense. Banishing 3 monsters with different types, I believe. Yep, he's going to special summon this copy of Protoss, and he probably will link these off for, a Lambda. Okay, so maybe he should have grabbed the Gamma. I'm not too sure. But then he can use Protoss' effect, declaring Dark. Obviously, it doesn't destroy it, but he's still locked out of Darks, so pretty rough. Going into main phase 1, he can go ahead and activate this Chaos Space. Is just to say special summon? Yeah, so you can't special summon, but you can still normal summon them, so that's kind of interesting. Skarm's going to be discarded for Chaos Space, searching for a copy of Blackluster Soldier. He's going to be normal summoning Tour Guide and special summoning Phoenix Shriner Warrior, which is an Earth, so nicely playing around that. It's pretty cool. You can actually overlay for Dante, which is a light monster, so still playing around that as well. He could use Dante to mill 3, and he milled a Skarm as well, and a Farfa, which he could banish this copy of Lambda, just to basically bait out a Gamma if there is one, which there isn't. Mind Control to take this copy of Protoss, and he could use Protoss effect actually against him if he wanted, but linking off into a copy of Phoenix, getting rid of the last back row, using the Dante to add back the Skarm, and then the Phoenix Rhino Warrior to send the Seer to Grave, which will special summon Dante back, and then he can go ahead and discard this Skarm to use to special summon a Beatrice over top of that. So he's a lot of stuff going on. He's going to be attacking for 4,400, being the Beatrice and the Phoenix, and then he is going to end phase use Skarm to add a copy of Tour Guide. So he's an insane follow-up for the next turn, being this BLS as well, so he's just got a lot of stuff going on, which is really nice. Lambda is going to come back in the end phase, and it is Malefic Lord's turn, so he's going to be drawing a copy of Parallel Exceed for a turn. So basically, this Beatrice has to be used on like he has to send Farfa banish these Alistair. Otherwise, he might just get an insane snowball of advantage. But I don't think that's a very ideal situation for him, since the Alistair is already set up in the graveyard as well. So if he just searches the invocation, there's no reason to banish this Alistair from his perspective, even though he doesn't know this Exceed in his hand, just because like the invocation can already just be used with the Alistair in the grave. So there's no reason to banish this with Farfa. But we'll see exactly what he does here. So yeah, he's actually going to be using Beatrice's effect, sending Skarm to the graveyard, which is a little weird. And he's going to be adding Seer back. I think he is just Seer back with Dante, obviously. I think he's just preemptively doing that just because of the Dark Invoked monster. I think he's a little bit threatened by that, so that makes a lot of sense. He's just going to be linking out this Alistair into a copy of Almirage. Fortunately, his zones actually work really nice here, so he can special summon this Exceed. If Almirage pointed this way, it would suck, but obviously he doesn't, so Exceed can be summoned here freely, and he's going to be summoning another one from the deck, and he can make any rank 4 here, so he's going to go into a copy of Time Thief Redoer. And a copy of Invocation comes down as well, banishing a dark monster out of the graveyard, as well as the Alistair the Invoker out of his opponent's grave into the invoked Kalika. And then Invocation can add back this Alistair back to hand, so he has a follow-up for the next turn as well. So Reader is going to be swinging over this copy of Phoenix for 500. And he's quite a bit of advantage set up here. So in the standby phase, this Reader is going to be attaching a trap from the deck. Oh, that's so good. This is actually a really good option against this deck, just because it's basically trap BA. Like he's seen the Piteous Dynamiscus, so like obviously he knows this deck is a trap variant. Blackluster Soldier is going to be hitting the field by banishing a Skarm and a Dante out of the graveyard. And then I believe he has a Chaos Base set up, so he can actually just return this Dante as well if he wanted to. But he's going to be just going straight into the battle phase and using Beatrice to attack into Reader, basically just forcing it out. So he's going to be taking 100 damage, or maybe he used the effect there? I'm not sure. I think he just let it go through, which is strange. Did he? I'm not sure. I'm confused. Maybe he just wanted to play around Kalika? Just because they can only attack with one monster during each battle phase. So I'm a little confused as to what exactly happened there, because he didn't take any damage. So I'm kind of confused exactly what happened there. Because the Redoer is in the graveyard, so I think he just took it, which is a little strange, but okay. I'm not sure what just happened there. So Tour Guide is going to be normal summon, special summoning the Graph out of the deck, was that? And Dante is going to be summoned in the extra monster zone, milling just one card. Interesting. Graph is going to be special summoning Libic from the extra deck, and he's going to link that off. Or no, it just dies, obviously, because he controls BLS. Or Beatrice, actually, since Beatrice isn't a Burning Abyss monster, fun fact. Then Dante is going to be linked off with IP? Or Seer linked off? I'm confused exactly. I think the Libic specialed the Seer from hand, and it negates the effects, I believe, so then he can link it off into a IP. So, okay, that's pretty interesting. And then Seer is going to bring back the Dante, and this Dante is going to be also adding the Seer back to hand. And passing his turn at that, so he can make a unicorn on his opponent's turn with this Dante, which is pretty nice. So at least having an interruption. Looks like he's just going to link off into a copy of Alistair, the Invoker of Madness. He's going to be normal summoning Alistair the Invoker, searching for a copy of Invocation, which obviously IP doesn't want to be used here, because he can just send back, if he sends back this Alistair the Invoker, he just uses the Invocation on the one in the graveyard, so I don't think there's a real reason to do that. But he's going to be doing it anyways, it looks like, so making this unicorn, he also adds back, what was that, Skarm? Seer is going to be discarded. He's going to get rid of the Link monster, actually. And then Seer is going to be back the Dante as well, so he lost like no advantage. Invocation banishing a fire from the grave. He's going to be going into Purgatrio. This might be really important, because this Purgatrio is on what, 3,000 attack or 3,300 attack right now, or 31, I think. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 3,100. So pretty interesting. Also, this Chaos Ruler can come back, since there's a dark monster in the graveyard and a light monster. So pretty interesting to know about. I'm not sure if he's going to do that, but you definitely can. So Alistair is going to be added off of a magical meltdown as well, so he can boost his Purgatrio, which is really interesting as well. So that's going to be a lot of damage. He might, oh yeah, so he's going to bring back this copy of Chaos Ruler, and I wonder if this is actually game. So this is going to be 1100 over this, and then it would go down to, man, this is a lot of math. I'm not sure. Let's just see what happens. I don't want to do the math in my head. So a copy of Alistair is going to be dropped on this unicorn. He's going to drop both Alistairs, so 2900 damage if I count it correctly. So the 800 plus the 2000, so 2800 damage or attack points added to this Purgatrio, being at 5100. So yeah, 2900 damage. It's at 51 now. It's at 49. It's going to attack for 24. And yeah, so he's just going to scoop it up. So, I mean, man, Purgatrio attacking for so much damage there. I think maybe discarding both of those Alistairs was a little bit overkill, just because I think, I mean, I didn't do the math, obviously, but I think that the Chaos Ruler guy would have been enough to attack directly after the fact, but I'm not too sure, honestly. So, next game, Tour Guide is going to be special summoning Fiendish Rhino Warrior from the extra deck, or sorry, from the main deck, and then special summoning a Dante from the extra deck. And he's going to detach the Fiendish Rhino Warrior and mill 2, which is really interesting. I'm not sure why he didn't mill 3 there. But Fiendish Rhino Warrior can be triggered here, as well as Graph. Graph is going to special summon the Seer from the deck, and then he's going to overlay, or sorry, not overlay, but link those off into an IP. Maybe he just milled 1, actually, and then being the Fiendish Rhino Warrior to get the Graph, to get the Seer, so I guess that makes sense. Typically, you don't want to mill more, just in case you don't want to hit the copy of Seer from your deck, or Graph sometimes. But yeah, so Dante gets summoned back off of Seer, and then Dante is going to add back the Seer as well, since it was technically in the graveyard at that time. Discarding this copy of Rubik, he can special summon a Beatrice, setting 2 cards, passing his turn. So 3 interruptions here, it looks like, with this trap trick. Chaos Base is just a bluff, obviously. So, a copy of Instant Fusion is going to be dropped here, special summoning Raijin from the extra deck, which was going to bait out this this copy of Beatrice, which is really nice. So he's going to actually use both effects, both the Unicorn effect as well as the Beatrice effect. So he's going to make, or sorry, I think I said Unicorn, but I meant IP effect to make the Unicorn. Then he's going to obviously send the Backjack, put back the copy of Raijin, and then he can use the effect of Absolute King Backjack as well to stack his deck. So it looks like he has a Dynamiscus he can stack on top here, as well as I believe Seer can get the effect here to special summon back the Dante. It looks like he's actually adding back, Dante's going to add back the Graph, and the Seer's going to be adding back the Graph. So yep, and then normal summon of Alistair here, so he played around those interruptions pretty nicely. This copy of Dynamiscus is going to be set here, and he's going to search for a copy of Invocation. I think this copy of Dynamiscus, oh, it's not going to come down on Alistair? Interesting. So Almirage is going to be made here. Invocation is going to be fusing this Almirage and the Alistair the Invoker into a Purgatrio. Dynamiscus is just going to banish this head Purgatrio. And yeah, so Invocation is going to be adding back the Alistair. He could use the Invocation here yet again to fuse for another copy of Purgatrio if he's playing on a second copy. I don't think he is. He could also go for a Dark Monster, or even the Earth one if he wanted, since there's an Earth option in his opponent's graveyard, but I don't think he is playing it. But Nemesis Flag is going to be shuffling back the Purgatrio, so I guess that's a pretty good way to get it back into the graveyard. Trap Trick is going to be used here to get a copy of Dynamiscus, and he's just going to flip it, since Nemesis Flag is actually a like on-field effect to search, so it's not like an on-summon, so he can just play around that by just banishing it before it has a chance to activate. And Dynamiscus is going to be summoned back from the graveyard as well. Invocation is going to be used here to fuse this copy of Alistair from the graveyard, as well as a copy of Seer from the opponent's graveyard, into a copy of Invoked Kalika. And he only has one monster in the graveyard, so he can't really get this as Chados on the field, which is kind of obnoxious. Or not obnoxious, but like annoying. Same thing, I guess, technically. Reader is going to be summoned here by special summoning this copy of Shade Brigandine, and if he wants to, he can maybe like tag it out and get this beast in the graveyard, but he doesn't have another option, unfortunately. So I think he's forced to, yeah, attack over the Unicorn, and then maybe like on his opponent's turn hope to get a spell card, and then bounce this like the tour guide that gets normal summoned. I don't know. It seems like there are very weird options here. So in the standby phase, he's going to be attaching another trap card from his opponent's deck to it as material. So Dante and Nemeses are going to be linked off into a Cerberus, which is going to force out this Redoer. So Redoer is forced to use its effect to get rid of the Cerberus, and then at this point, Manicus is basically free to play. So he's good to special summon this copy of Tour Guide, which will special the Barbar, overlaying into a copy of Leviair, actually, detaching the Barbar, specialing back the Seer, and then the Barbar is going to be using its effect to banish 3 to deal 900 damage, and then Seer gets destroyed, special summoning Dante back, Chaos Base activating, discarding the Scarm to search for BLS. BLS can banish a Light and a Dark to special summon the copy of Black Ghost or Soldier back. Chaos Base is going to be used bringing back the Beatrice to draw a card. Farfa is going to be used to special summon Beatrice on top, and that is 5,500 between these two, and this is 73, so unfortunately that should be game. So yeah, he played that really well. Obviously just being able to shuffle back this Beatrice and then just overlay it on top. He obviously drew really good, being able to draw into this Farfa at the last minute, like drawing the last Burning Abyss monster. Otherwise that would have been 5,800 damage, so honestly a little bit of luck plus a lot of skill, so which is typically just all you need in some certain situations. But yeah, unfortunately, I mean, Malefic Lord did have a like Redoer coming back, so I think he could have like had a chance, especially since there's no more interruption really. He just has a BLS, a Dante, and a Leviair to deal with, which is like not that big of a deal, especially if you can draw like a copy of like I don't know, something like a Tracer or something maybe could have got him out of that situation, but obviously we'll never see because he never draws the last card on the top of his deck. But I mean, it doesn't really matter since he technically lost the match anyways, but realistically, I feel like this match could have gone either way, but a little bit of luck will sometimes get you there. But I hope you guys enjoyed. This is probably one of the better matches of this entire tournament, so I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was very fun. But yeah, I will see you guys for another top 4 match tomorrow.